Good morning. This is Bob speaking to you from my farm at the Annapolis Valley of Nova Scotia. It's almost noon now. I got up quite early thinking that I would get this done while the air was cool. But I don't know. I kind of got lazy this morning, so now I'm sitting here in the heat trying to complete my part 2 video of building the Bodger Bench. Actually, quite a few days have passed since I made my first video. A few things came up, took my attention, but I'm back at it now, and I did make some progress. I'm not actually suggesting that you guys use these plans. These plans are just for me, but it might give you some ideas along the way that you want to try, either for a Bodger bench or, gosh, I don't know, any other kind of bench, I suppose. I broke the project up in 2 parts today. I think I can get 2 parts done and not bore you to death. The first thing that I started was the most difficult part. And I wanted to get that over with, and that of course is the legs. And I've got my not finished legs, but at least I've got my well, it's not a template either, but it's finished, except that I've got to trim it up and I've got to glue it up. So there's no glue on this project yet, in case I really screw something up. But you've all seen these. They're used for barriers around construction sites to keep people away. I went up and shook one the other day to see if it was really strong, and it wasn't. And while I was doing that, one of the workers came over and said, you know, all people usually have to do is see it, and they stay away from it. Well, I think he was being a little sarcastic, but I did figure out what I needed to figure out now. If they're high, you know, if you have a barrier that's 3 or 4 feet high, no, they're not very sturdy. But one like this, which is 18 inches high, boy, I don't have any problems with it at all. So I'm going to show you just one of the legs. Show you the angles. That's the difficult part. You know what I wanted to say there. That's the difficult part of it, is getting these angles. But once you've got one, you've got the other 3 too. So all you have to do is do mirror images, and it works out well. I was worried about compound angles because I can't cut them. I have a hard enough time with simple angles. What I found out as I was putting it together, I didn't have to worry about them anyway, because the 2 braces, front and back, form the compound angle. So actually, the beam, the I-beam that goes through this way, sits on the braces and only touches those notches right here at the edge. So man, I'll tell you, this thing is strong. So what I've done is I've done a little teacher talk, and I've got a piece of paper up here so I can show you how I got those angles. I think once you've got those, you can put this together in a day. Okay, first of all, what I want to show you here is the leg. I think it's the most difficult part of the project, but even it's not really too bad. But I'm just going to show you one part. That brace is a piece of cake, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Okay, I guess the big problem is the angles. If you get them right at the beginning, the thing just seems to fall into place. So this is a 2x4 here, and you notice it's got a tilt to it. So that tilt down here, you see, I've marked that 70 degrees. And I set my adjustable square at 70 degrees because I know I've got to make many of those angles, and that just made it a whole lot easier. Notice you have to make 4 of these things.
So the first cut is a 70-degree cut so that your leg sits at the right angle. I like the vertical distance here to be 18 inches. It just works for me. Now it may not work for you. You might have to have yours a little lower. I don't know. But I liked 18 inches. So that was good right there. So I took my square, and after marking this line at 70 degrees, I just continued it up with my my framing square until I got up to my 18-inch vertical height line. Now, you'll notice, if you remember your grade 11 geometry, if the lines need to be parallel, and they do need to be, see, I've set it here, if this is 70, this one has to be 110 degrees. So I simply took my protractor, put it on here, and drew that line across, 110 degrees. And then joined these up, making sure that this line and this line are parallel. And after that, everything has to fall in place. Now, the next, I guess, maybe difficult part is this notch that you cut out right here. I should have continued that right up through that 110 degrees. In order to get that, remember that we're putting in a 2x6. Well, a 2x6 is actually 1.5 inches wide. So I came in here 3/4 of an inch, 5.5 inches down. And then I took my framing square, I put it on the bottom here, lined it up real nice, neat and tidy, came over to the 3/4 inch mark, and drew my line up. Now, that makes this perpendicular. This is your waist, so you cut this out on your bandsaw, and you end up with one of these. Okay? So all you have to do, after you've got one cut out, is trace it off, make 3 more, and they will go together. Now, some will say that line right there is a compound angle. Well, you're right, it is. But you don't need to worry about it, because when you put your braces across here, there are braces that go across there, it makes that angle for you. It just works out nice, neat, and tidy. It's one of those things that I don't really understand, but it worked well. Okay, so that's a leg. Now over here, this is the beam that goes through here, that sits on here, right? It's this beam that's, it's this beam that's in here, right? Now I couldn't draw it full length, so I cut it off here. But the whole length of that beam is 56 inches. Now you're saying, well, gosh, that's awfully long. But when I sit down, I sort of flare out like a pear, and I need belly room in here. So I made it 56. Now, if you're a person of slight build, you can probably get away with 48 inches, and it might look a whole lot better. But I went with 56. Now, because I want these legs to splay out and give it lots of good strength, what I did, this is the end of the 2x6. I measured 2 inches at the bottom, 3 inches at the top, screwed that cleat on. Made that out of oak. Then I put the width of the 2x4 in there, and then I pushed this cleat up against it, screwed it there, right there, and boy, that is tight. And you do that on the other side as well, and on the other end on both sides. I'll tell you, a good idea is to number your ends. Maybe this is 1, the underside of this is 2, over here is 3, the underside of that is 4. Very easy to get that upside down and backwards. Just a little idea. Okay, now I'm going to go over and show you how this thing goes together. Okay, we're all but done here for part 2.
I will put this together, but as you can see, my table has gotten quite a bit smaller because I used the wood from the table to build the bench, my Bodger bench. So I'm working at a little bit of a disadvantage here. Things might tip over, don't laugh. I caution you, if at all possible, don't use a hammer on this. If you use a hammer, you're going to dent it all up, and this Bodger bench is not meant to hammer on. So you want it to stay fairly nice. The bridge might take some beating with the draw knife, but try to use a mallet. This one was given to me 24 years ago, and I've got it beaten all to pieces, as you can see. But it's at its best right now because I've broken all the fibers in there, and that's soft on the top, but inside's hard. So when you hit your gouge with it, you get a soft initial contact, and then the pressure goes into the gouges. It's really great. If you can find one of these, it's almost indispensable for this project. That's an adjustable square. If you set that at 70 degrees at the beginning of your project, turn that butterfly nut there really tight so you don't lose that angle. You'll use this 8 times, get exactly the right angle, 70 degrees, and then 80 degrees. And boy, it made the job a lot easier, I'll tell you. Anyway, for now I don't need it because it's all together. Okay, here we go. I just sort of braced those legs there. I don't know if they'll stay up or not. This is my I-beam, which is now upside down. You might want to think to number your corners and put an arrow showing which way is up, because it's all easy to get mixed up. Okay, here it goes. Excuse my back. Well, something happened there. I think I've got that SN2. This piece should have gone down better. It didn't. Yeah, I think that's what that is. Just a sec. Much better. Piece of cake. I think that had to go in there that hard. Okay, so that's it. I've got it really tight. You'll notice here that I screwed those together. It just seemed that was the thing that I had to do. Then I have another board that sits on top. So this is 2x6. I'm going to stay with 2x6 and put a seat on. This one, unfortunately, look, it wobbles for 2 reasons. Number one, there isn't enough surface area here, and number 2, this is as crooked as a dog's hind leg. I left it out in the sun, so I'm not going to use it. But anyway, that's part 2. Hope you got some ideas from it. We'll see you in part 3 in a few days.